onWURD Radio.
That was Nipsey Hussle, Victory Lap, featuring Stacey Barth. You're tuned into the lounge on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Nipsey was slain yesterday afternoon, shot multiple times in front of his store in the plaza that he owned. His whole thing was definitely by the block. The coincidence behind this, or not even a coincidence, I don't even know the best word to say right now, but was that he was actually scheduled to meet with LAPD Chief Michael Moore and the Police Commissioner Steve Soboroff today at 4 p.m. to explore how he could help stop gang violence, among other things. So Chief Moore did give a comment. He said, quote, "Throughout the years as Nipsey fostered success in his music career, he chose, rather than to leave, to come back and reinvest, and try to address the various underpinnings that fostered this environment." He just added that, you know, the shooting was terrible. And Nipsey also tweeted right before this happened that having strong enemies is a blessing. So that was literally sent before this happened. So again, prayers and so much more going out to all those who are affected by that. It is Man Crush Monday, Motivation Monday, all of that good stuff here in the lounge. And I'm excited to welcome my first guest of the evening, especially since he is a black man who is out here doing his thing. And now you get the pleasure of meeting him. So Joe Green is the founder of Affinity Confections. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Good. Thank you for coming in. So how's your day going?
Pretty good. You know, a lot of self-love, little reflection going on today, productivity. As always, you know, that's what I strive for every day.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear self-love today. Yes. So for the folks who may not be familiar, let them know in your own words who you are and what you do.
Hey, so I'm Joe Green, the founder and owner of Affinity Confections. Affinity Confections is a dessert and pastry brand that makes all sorts of, you know, cupcakes, bars, tarts, muffins, scones, various desserts and pastries using premium natural ingredients without any artificial flavors or colors. Everything is portion controlled and seasonally inspired. Mm-hmm.
And delicious, because I've had it. Just a pause, FYI, we are live streaming on the lounge. So go ahead over to Facebook. Y'all know how we do when we have guests in studio. You can either go to the station's Facebook at FORWURD, or you can just find at the lounge WURD on Facebook and tune into the live. We're also streaming on YouTube and Periscope, so we got all these different ways that you can reach us. If you want to chime into the conversation that Joe and I are about to get into, feel free. Our hotline is 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, and then toll free 866-361-0900. Again, that's 866-361-0900. So, Joe, I want to start with, because it's Man Crush Monday, your message for millennial-age black men, young black men.
Young black men, millennial-age black men. You know, definitely strive to be a leader. And I really wanted to focus on that because, you know, we're at a point where, you know, we're going to be that next generation that's really going to be running things and kind of handling, you know, the city or just things moving forward. And, you know, we have to be masters of our craft and really lead the young people in a positive direction. So leadership is way more important than it ever was for, you know, myself, young black men, millennials in general.
Yeah, I feel that. So before we get into the business and all that that stuff, what does manhood mean to you? Like, how do you define it? How do you embody it?
Manhood for me, I mean, first and foremost is being a man of your word. You know, I grew up with, you know, that mantra in the household just being instilled in me. You know, do what you say you're going to do. Be a man of your word is so important, because trust is everything in relationships, whether it's business, whether it's professional. And you know, being able to vouch for you or put their name on a line, you know, there's nothing more important than that. It's almost like having credit with an institution, but except it's outside in the neighborhoods or wherever you go. So that was the first thing that I've always been brought up to really focus on, and then just handling your responsibilities. You know, there are times when we might check out a little mentally and you need a little break or something, but for the most part, you know what you need to take care of, so you got to make sure it's handled.
Yeah. What kind of man did you, like, when you think back to, let's say, your younger self when you were a kid, what kind of man did you envision yourself becoming?
Honestly, the man I am today. I mean, a lot of people always said that I was very mature for my age. Like, I kind of got that rap, being a really young guy that was mature. And, you know, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to have my own business. So my focus was a little different in the things that I really envisioned. And I always used to say, like, you know, I wasn't really fond of grade school. I really was waiting to, like, hit this point in my life, like hit my 20s and 30s. I wanted to hit that stride just because I know that I can control everything that, you know, that was really in my path. Like, there would be no one to kind of dictate what I was going to do, but I had my own responsibility to live the life I wanted.
So where was that seed first planted as far as entrepreneurship and you saying, like, I know that's for me?
So I remember being in high school, and I took a personality profile test, and based off of the answers, it gave you like a list of professions that you would become. And so one of those was entrepreneurship, and at the time I might have been 14, 15, had no idea what that was. So I went home, looked it up, and it was just, you know, the definition of entrepreneurship really captivated me, and I was really enamored with it from that point. So I looked up everything entrepreneurship, you know, what does it take to be an entrepreneur, the type of things you can do, and I got the ball rolling from there. You know, I recently just found a book from, you know, it might have been like 2007, 2008 or something like that, that just had like a bunch of ideas and, you know, different business entities and, you know, things that I wanted to do. But once I established what that was, that's what I wanted to do. Got you.
So if you're just tuning in, I'm chatting with Joe Green. He is the owner and CEO, founder,
all of the above,
all of the above of Affinity Confections. And, you know, it's Man Crush Monday. So every Monday I'm looking to feature dope men who are doing amazing things. And just shout out to you, because that's why I asked you to come on. I'm like, I got to get Joe on.
No, that's great.
And
that's
so,
dope.
You know, the fat kid in me is like, I have to get Joe on because I love sweets. But no, so listen, loves, if you know, or you are, you know, a black man who is just doing a thing out there, right, and who is impacting your community in a positive way, an empowering way, who's owning your path, listen, let's talk. Let's get you on the show. Let's talk about it. You can email me, empowered, EMPOWERED @sincerelysarita.com. Again, that's empowered @sincerelysarita.com, and my name SYREETA. Sincerely spelled exactly how it should be spelled, exactly how the dictionary spells it. But we got to get ready to get into a break. But prior to that, you mentioned self-care. What's a part of your self-care routine?
For me, exercise, definitely. I really, at the end of 2018, I got into rowing. So, you know, I bought a rowing. Yeah, rowing. You know, full body workout. I have a water rower, so, you know, just the tranquility of listening to the water as I, you know, go through the motions. It's very serene, very peaceful for me.
Wait, so have you ever seen, that made me think of, what's the Netflix show? It's not even on anymore. And I've referenced it before when talking about the White House. I don't know why it just left me, but they no longer play it. But he had, the guy who eventually became the president, he had a rower.
Okay.
So you put one in your house?
Yeah.
I was like, where'd you even find that at?
I mean, you can go online, Amazon, QVC, pick your poison, whichever one you want to find.
I have never done rowing before.
It's great, especially for somebody like me that's very technical. Rowing is very technical, so there are a lot of different benchmarks that you can measure, that you can track, that you can shoot for. So it's a lot different in terms of just like cardio and a full body workout than just being on a treadmill, you know, kind of like the hamster wheel. It's something you can, and form is everything. So it's like focusing on your breathing, strokes per minute. It's very technical, so it's...
All right, I don't know if that one I might get too scared.
You should give it a shot. You should give it a shot.
House of Cards. That's what it was called.
Okay.
That's what the show was called. House of Cards. Yeah. Anywho, listen, I'm chatting with Joe Green, and he's my Man Crush Monday pick of the week. Okay. Well, I guess the week, Monday, whatever. You tuned into the lounge on WURD Radio. When we come back on the other side, Joe and I are kind of going to get into the business of baking. And how you built your business, your company, all of that good stuff. And also this recent trip that you took to France.
Okay.
I want to hear about it. All right, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.
The Source.
The Source.
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Special guest host Renee Chanel Plata every Monday in April.
The Source. Exclusively on WURD Radio and WURDRadio.com.
Pennsylvania is in the midst of the worst ever overdose death epidemic and the worst public health crisis in the last 100 years. The Pennsylvania Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs is leading the efforts to prevent and reduce drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction and abuse, and has undertaken initiatives to reduce the human and economic impact of the epidemic with the prevention and treatment of substance use. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, get help now. Call 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-HELP. Call today.
It's 6:42 p.m. Time for Steve Plato and his son Dylan to do the dishes. They talk about everything from the yuckiness of girls to the awesomeness of his soccer team. Sometimes they don't talk at all. Then, hey! The dreaded splash fight. It's Dad o'clock, and it's the best time of the day. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Countless victims of human trafficking walk among us, invisible until now. The Blue Campaign provides a unified voice for those who work to combat human trafficking. It's time to open our eyes. Learn what you can do by visiting dhs.gov/Blue Campaign.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues designed to help you help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything. Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've messed up your daughter's haircut. Do you A, get spiritual?
Mom, where's the mirror?
Beauty is within. Oh.
B, find the positives?
Less time blow drying, more time texting?
Or C, show empathy?
Mom, you really don't have to.
Twinsies!
I kinda love it. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. The Lounge with Sincerely Sarita. Sincerely Sarita. Right now on WURD Radio.
Last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rap last time that I checked. I was selling zones in the set. Make $250,000, no sweat last time that I checked. I'm the streets voice out west. Legendary self-made progress last time that I checked. First you get the money, then respect, then the power and the come next last time that I checked. I've been self-made from the dribble. I was been saying I'm a killer. Playing no games with you. Pop clutch, switch lanes on you. I laid down the game for you. Taught you how to charge more than what they paid for you. The whole thing for you. Reinvest, double up, then explain for you. It gotta be love. Run the city, it gotta be cuz. It's for the pieces I took off the monopoly board. Hey, y'all false claims, it gotta be fraud. Just keep the hood about your mouth and you gotta be charged. I doubled up, tripled up, what? Banged on the whole game, I ain't give nobody tripping, handle business, got my digits up. And when I drop, you know I'm about to time that I checked. It was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rap last time that I checked. I was selling zones in the set. Make a $250,000, no sweat. Last time that I checked. I'm the streets voice out west. Legendary self-made progress. Last time that I checked. First you get the money, then respect, and the power and the come next. Last time that I come through fly. No cosign, I ain't need radio to do mine. I done fine and I take my time and take my tribe. Every level that I crossed in this game like state lines, it was visionary. Either I'm genius or you scary. Maybe it's both in this balance I deliver daily. For every in these streets trying to feed the babies. The single mama's working hard not to miss a payment. And dirty money get washed on royalty statements. Black owners in this game are powerful racists. Young in the set just doing it makeshift out the garage. It's how you end up in charge. It's how you end up in penthouses, end up in cars. It's how you start off a curb server, end up a boss. It's how you win the whole thing and lift up a cigar with sweat dripping down your face. Cause the mission was last time that I checked. It was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rap last time that I checked. I was selling zones in the set. Make a $250,000, no sweat last time that I checked. I'm the streets voice out west. Legendary self-made progress last time that I checked. First you get the money, then respect, then the power and the come next. Last time that I checked.
That's Nipsey Hussle, Last Time That I Checked, featuring YG. You're tuned into the lounge on WURD Radio 96.1 FM, 900 AM. It's Motivation Monday. It's also Man Crush Monday. And for our MCM segment this week, we have the pleasure of welcoming Joe Green, CEO and founder of Affinity Confections. And let's dive into this. We were talking off air about just the business of baking. And I love that you are hands-on with everything that's involved in your business. So first, let's back up. Let folks know what Affinity Confections is, and also how it came about.
Got you. So, you know, Affinity Confections, dessert and pastry brand. We use premium natural ingredients without any artificial flavors or colors. Everything is seasonally inspired and portion controlled. How it came about, my last year at Temple, I had to do a mandatory internship, and so I interned at the Night Kitchen Bakery in Chestnut Hill. The owner, Amy, she was very welcoming, you know, allowed me to be in the kitchen with the pastry chefs. So I got to see firsthand, you know, commercial production, how to go about scaling up, scaling down. Then I worked in the front talking to customers, and I really used that as my research. You know, whenever I talk to people, I always say, first and foremost, we're consumers, right? So we all have preferences. So there was something in the market or something lacking in the market that I wanted to offer. You know, at that point in time, everybody focused so heavily on the aesthetics with fondant. You know, cakes may look good, but they might not taste as good. And so I wanted to really get back to the essence of, you know, baking, focusing on the flavor combinations, and just producing quality pastries and desserts. So I really wanted to go that route, and so my aesthetic is really contemporary, very straightforward, and I really started building a brand from there.
And so have you always been into baking? Like, how did this...
Yeah, I have. I used to spend a lot of time in the kitchen with my grandmother when I was a child. That was one of our favorite pastimes, you know, snow days, rain days, whatever. It was nothing for us to, you know, make cakes, cookies, donuts, whatever the case may be.
I would have loved to come over to your house.
Right. You know, I was on a creative tangent. You know, I wanted to really make everything. I was less concerned about how, you know, eating it myself. I just wanted to actually produce stuff.
Gotcha. What's your favorite thing to bake?
My favorite thing to bake would be chocolate chess tarts. So a chocolate chess tart, it's a shortbread crust with a chocolate filling, which is similar to like a brownie filling. Okay. It has a layer of chocolate ganache, or I have an espresso one, so it might have like espresso ganache on top, and then maybe finish with like a little coffee caramel. But I'm a chocolate guy, so
that sounds so good.
You know, that combination and those textures really work for me, and it's something I had to perfect. That's the one thing I can say is I made thousands of tart shells when I was interning at the Night Kitchen. And so it just became like second nature to me. And so, you know, that one thing that you might not like doing, you end up love doing. So that was one of those things for me.
Gotcha. And so when did you realize, like, okay, I want to actually move forward with creating my own company?
So, you know, going back to my last year at Temple University, I had a professor, Dwight Carey. I was working on another business plan that would, you know, of course, be lucrative, but I wasn't passionate about it. And so I was flirting with the idea of finishing the business plan for that business or Affinity Confections. And so he basically just said, you know, whatever you're passionate about, you're going to continuously keep learning without being forced to. It's going to be something that you're going to digest on a daily basis. And so, you know, just reflecting on my time at the Night Kitchen, it was never like work to me. You know, I loved being in there, you know, whether I was paid or not. And I would stick around, you know, whenever I could, or just be in the atmosphere to pick up everything. And that was a decision for me that I had to go with what I was passionate about.
And what was your vision for Affinity?
Definitely to have a brick and mortar location, which I'm currently working on, and to just introduce a bunch of different desserts and pastries that people weren't really familiar with. Like flavor combinations, 100% is our focus. Flavor combinations and textures, I should say. Just making a really top to bottom complete dessert. So I didn't want to go with the status quo of what's available. You know, I wanted to do it and offer it in my own unique way.
Yeah, I'm looking because you all dropped the new collection.
Yep, and the spring collection.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, you do collections. Right. Which I don't feel like I've ever seen in the world of baking. So
I have a lot of inspiration from a lot of different sources. I really love art. You know, Dali, Rothko, a lot of these artists just visually stunning for me. And then fashion, you know, so like art and fashion were probably like my two favorite loves outside of culinary or baking, I should say. And so when you think about Fashion Week, people drop, you know, spring collections, winter collections, summer collections. So I'm like, outside of the year-round menu that I have, why not curate special menus for the season? And because we focus on those flavor combinations and textures, I wanted to offer desserts and pastries that featured ingredients that were the best in their peak season. So that's how I really settled on doing those seasonal collections.
And so with this spring 2019 collection, speaking of, you know, just combinations of flavors, walk us through what kind of flavors we got popping with this new collection.
So the inspiration for the spring 19 collection was berries. You know, once you go into spring, you get into the berries, and then once you get into like the end of spring, beginning of summer, you have stone fruits, things like that. But there are so many different
what's stone fruits?
Like mangoes, peaches.
Oh, okay. Never heard of that.
Yeah, stone.
Like stone. That word.
Or like the pit, or you know, like avocados have like that pit or that stone in it. But I wanted to focus on berries. And focusing on berries, it allows me to do a bunch of different flavor combinations. And so what I try to do is if I took strawberry, right, or blueberry, for example. Let's use blueberry. So what I want to do is create desserts and pastries that enhance the flavor of blueberry, right? So when you think about things that make blueberry taste more like blueberry, maple, cinnamon, like these are some of the things that enhance that flavor of blueberry, but then also things that pair well with blueberry. So lemon is always a great staple. Almond works really well with blueberry. Strawberries, you can do basil or just like strawberries and cream, and that kind of influenced how I came up with a lot of the names for my products. So we have a Wimbledon cupcake on the menu. So Wimbledon, the actual tournament, the time of year, it's in the spring, and one of the traditional desserts in Europe is berries and cream. So it's a citrus cupcake with a vanilla buttercream with a fresh strawberry coulis, which is a fresh strawberry puree. So it's berries and cream. So it's that combination, but it's not like a strawberry shortcake. It's a little different, but still has that similar inspiration.
This sounds so good. And then, I'm looking at the strawberry basil cupcake. Fresh fruit tarts, strawberry lavender, sugar, shortbread.
Yeah, so with the lavender, just thinking about spring, and I have different inspiration for each collection. So, you know, when you think about spring, you think about flowers, right? So lavender is something that's floral. It really brings out the essence of spring to me. So I wanted to combine a fruit that peaks in the spring season with something that was floral. So I mean, I could have chose anything. I could have done, you know, like pistachio and rose water or something like that, but I wanted to go strawberry lavender just because of how it's applied to that actual one. So it's a strawberry and lavender sugar. So I can use, you know, fresh lavender or dried lavender and, you know, kind of grind it with sugar and apply it to shortbread cookies. So just thinking about texturally how I can incorporate flavors and textures to come up with the collections.
Yeah. First of all, just the fact that you have, I feel like, elevated baking. Like just,
thank you.
You know what I mean? Like even when looking at your website, branding, all of that, from start to finish, everything is, it sounds like it's in-house, number one. But for those who may not understand, like, or you know, be familiar with all that you do, kind of walk us through like the business from start to finish and everything that you're involved in, because you even like created your website and your logo and all of that.
So first and foremost, I knew that it was essential for me to control how my product tastes, and so I developed all of the proprietary ingredients for my product. So when I mean proprietary is, if I have a lemon tart that has lemon curd in it, we make the lemon curd in-house, which we also sell as a jar product. So you can actually buy jars of this lemon curd to use in your own cake or your own yogurt, whatever the case may be, however you want to consume it. For the ganache, for the chocolate tarts, we make that in-house as well. I really wanted to try my best to avoid anything with preservatives in it, and the only way to do that is to create everything in-house. But when it comes to business, I had to decide, you know, how I would profit off of those things as well. And ironically, when I started the baking company, I never wanted to go into finished products, like stuff that you could actually eat. I wanted to start off with jar products that you could use yourself for the home consumer. But the way for me to get it out there was to have people taste it. And so I would have to bake these things for people to taste it, and then that really caught on, and then we started getting like orders or requests for different things, and then just scale from there. So I really, you know, the finished products became my main business model, and then all of the jar stuff just became an additional revenue stream from the business.
So do you, I know you want the brick and mortar. Do you see your stuff being sold in like a fresh grocer or, you know, a chain?
No, that was, so the first couple years, that's what I wanted to push for. But the understanding of that is when you go after certain brands, whether it be like Whole Foods or Fresh Grocer, a lot of times, you know, you have to have the quantities up front to be able to have shelf space. And then, so basically consignment. So once that stuff sells and you can recoup, but if they ask for 10,000 units and you're a small business just starting off, that could cripple you. So I didn't pursue that avenue. Then when you look at coffee shops or other establishments, you know, a lot of times, even let's say a coffee shop, right? Your product may be a secondary afterthought because coffee is their primary, you know, revenue stream or revenue driver, their primary product. And so if you have less concern for what I do, and that's what I focus on, that's something that I want to be the star of the operation, I didn't want to put my product on the back shelf. So I really started, I really kind of left that lane alone and wanted to focus on our own operation. So we started doing commercial and residential delivery throughout Philadelphia. So whether it's a business or, you know, personally, people can order from the website and we'll deliver it to you. We work with larger accounts, University of Penn, CHOP, PICO, you know, a plethora of businesses throughout the city, universities as well. So it just really kind of grew in scale, but it was from that same perspective of we don't compromise on the quality.
And so you started Affinity Confections in what year?
2014.
All right, and so now 5 years.
Almost. August 2014, I officially founded Affinity Confections.
How does that feel to know that you've almost been in business for 5 years?
I mean, it feels great. It feels amazing. And honestly, entrepreneurship has humbled me in a way that I never would have guessed or never would have thought.
How?
I mean, giving back first and foremost. I mean, you know, food education is something that I feel everybody should have access to. So I teach people about fresh ingredients, you know, preparing different things, host classes, you know, in Center City, just talking about different desserts and pastries, because when you think about the health industry and not being able to consume desserts or sugar or things like that, it's not that you have to completely give it up. It's about moderation. And so that's why everything we make is portion controlled. And so I really wanted to make that a facet of everything that we do.
So with the portion control, what does that mean? Like, what size are they? Is this like snackable?
So if a full size cupcake is 2.5 to 2 inches, which would realistically probably be like 4 bites, the cupcakes that we make are 2 bites.
Gotcha.
Right? And so, but the goal is not to be full or overindulge, it's to be satisfied. And so if you have a product that's crafted well, you know, the flavors all blend well together, you're going to be satisfied. So you're going to consume less, you know?
Oh, no.
No?
I'd be the type that still end up eating half the box.
but in that same token, if one of Affinity Confections cupcakes is 2 bites and a regular cupcake is 4, then you can have 2 of those cupcakes.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can, so you know, and that allows you the option to try something new, try something different. Like, you don't just have to have that one thing.
Right.
Because like I said, as a consumer, there have been times when I've had a cupcake or a slice of cake and I'm just like, man, it's too much. And then you're just like, okay, I need to take a break. I got to work out. I got to give up sweets for 2 weeks, and then you'll come back. But if you have something that's in moderation and that you can try and it tastes amazing, then, you know, you're not going to feel You're not going to feel guilty about it. You're just going to indulge and keep it moving.
Yeah. So, especially like now coming up on this 5-year anniversary, what would you go back and tell the Joe that at first went into this?
5 years. What would I go back and tell myself? Stay the course. I would stay the course and trust in yourself. You know, a lot of times people may have opinions of what you should or shouldn't do, and they may think it's constructive criticism, but it directly conflicts with your vision. You know, I've been told several times, oh, you should think about, you know, doing larger portions, or you should, you know, maybe incorporate colors and all these different things. And I've turned customers away that wanted a particular thing, cupcake or product that was a particular color. And me having to put my foot down and say, no, we don't do that. Someone may look at it as, well, you can't afford to really turn money away. But when it comes to building a brand and brand equity, you have to stand firm on that.
Yeah.
You know, if I start doing everything, then I'm a master of nothing. But if people come to Affinity Confections because they know it's always quality, consistent, they can try new flavor combinations, but they always make sense, then that gives me a lot of value in a marketplace that isn't being served by a particular company or brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, I've had to turn away business. Like, that's not a good fit. Brand alignment or whatever else the case may be, if it's a potential partner or collaborator, yeah, you're the only one that's going to protect the integrity of your brand, right? So that makes total sense to me. But I think I'm very excited for you because I've watched quite a bit of your journey, and you scaling the business, and, you know, even thinking about these larger accounts that you have acquired. How did you, because I'm thinking about, you know, the person who, you know, whether they're an entrepreneur full-time or a side hustle, but they want to get those kinds of accounts. What was that process? What did that entail for you?
Well, first and foremost, being prepared. You know, when we start businesses, it's very easy to jump in full steam ahead and then try to play catch up later. But that may come back to hurt you. You know, if I started my business and got a lot of buzz and, you know, a university or a large company reached out to me, but I didn't have that business insurance, or I don't have that employer identification number for tax purposes, then I don't get those accounts or I don't get those opportunities. So before I launched my company, you know, I think the end of 2013, I did all of the paperwork. you know, serve safe, licenses for the city, all of those things. And then I spent a year and a half on product development before I even put out one product. Because with food, you know, you eat with your eyes, and all you need is that one person to say it was nasty, and then you know, you're kind of finished before you get started. People are very, you know, sparse about giving you a second chance as a new brand if it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
You know, word of mouth goes such a long way, and you know, I'm glad that we've built that reputation from word of mouth of people enjoying everything that they've done. So before you even get started, you know, you gotta dot those I's and cross those T's. I think preparedness was the biggest thing that I realized early on that was most contribute to my success the most.
Got you. All right, if you're just tuning in, I'm chatting with Joe Green. He is the man behind Affinity Confections. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, Joe, you know, want to keep diving in a little deeper. One thing that I love and respect about you, you know, especially on the business front, is the constant evolution. Like, not just the business, but also you. So definitely want to get into this trip to France, because this is tied to your evolution and the direction that you want to take the business. So, yeah, loves, you're tuned in to The Lounge on WURD Radio 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We're going to take this break, and I'll see you on the other side.
The Source.
The Source.
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Special guest host Renation Plata every Monday in April.
The Source. Exclusively on Word Radio and WordRadio.com. Looking for Afrocentric art, gifts, home decor, accessories, custom framing, and so much more? Visit LaBelle Art Gallery, located at 53 Kings Highway East in Haddonfield, New Jersey, or online at labelleartgallery.com. Host your own private event in this beautiful gallery today.
WordRadio.com.
My mom is stronger than anyone I've ever known. Growing up when life got hard, her strength helped pull us through. Even after her heart failure diagnosis, she remains stronger than ever.
My family's support keeps me strong. Together, we're rising above heart failure.
Heart failure doesn't have to steal your strength. For simple steps you can take to help prevent, improve, or manage heart failure, go to riseabovehf.org.
Alvin and the Chipmunks want to remind you to keep bacteria in food from making you ill with 4 simple steps.
This will be a walk in the park.
Clean. Wash hands and surfaces often.
I'm waiting for the rinse cycle.
Separate. Keep raw meats away from ready-to-eat foods.
Yep.
Cook. Make sure meat, poultry, and seafood is cooked to the right temperature.
Fire in the hole!
And chill. Refrigerate food promptly.
Bingo!
Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council. The road trip to food safety starts at foodsafety.gov.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey now, this is Dr. Guthrie Ramsey of Musicology, and you're listening to The Lounge on Word Radio.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at Forward. Word TV. Black Talk Media.
I got a show today. It's all I'm trying to do. Hustle and motivate. Choppers a throwaway. Hustle the overweight. That's why they follow me, huh? They think I know the way. Cause I took control of things. Ballin' the solo way. And if you pattern my trend, I make you my protege. Crossing that soldier race. You don't know them days. Take you in back of the buildings. Make you expose your rage. Take you across the tracks. Make you explode the face. Now you official now. But you got a soul to save. I just been cooking that new. I'm about to drop in a few. Think if I call it the great, the people gon' call it the truth. I ain't really trip on the credit. I just paid all of my dues. I just respected the game. Now my name all in the news. Tripping on all of my moves. Quote me on this, got a lot more to prove. Remember I came in this shit fresh out the county with nothing to lose.
No, on the ground, yeah. But I don't do it for shit or nothing. No, no, no. not at all. You, but my money real, that you do. Oh yeah, so I don't do this for nothing. Ooh, not at all. Oh, I told her I got so I don't do this for nothing. Not at all. Back in this trip like I never left. Stand for some shit you never read. Passing through stages in life, through the ups and the downs, like it's all just another test. Live by the rules like a freak off breath. I got respect in 100 sets. Too many chains need another chest. Playing no games if it wasn't chess. Come from that cloth that you couldn't stretch. Come from that circle you couldn't test. Heavily pressured and under stress, even though niggas ain't sure we was a mess. Honest attempt playing to the left. Judges young, but in the body ain't dressed. Left us no option, what they expect. Only thing we knew for sure is the bang is set. I'm living basic, I'm taking risks. What they saying, I'm saying this. Don't waste your time, it don't make you rich, it don't mean nothing. So fuck them, let's make a grip. Double up, triple up, make assists. Ballin' so hard you can play your shit. Lead to the lake if they wanna fish. Make sure the niggas around you stick to the script. It should be written in stone. You should come visit my zone. Don't take my word, double check all of my flows. Ask them how hustle got on, but what you heard. This for who walked down that road. Sold everything but they sold. Straight off the curb. Real rich as you nerds. Address to whom and make it so. I don't do this for nothing. Nah.
That's Hustle and Motivate by Nipsey Hussle. You're tuned in to the lounge on WURD Radio 96.1 FM, 900 AM. If you missed our question of the day, it was actually inspired by Nipsey's passing. He was gunned down yesterday afternoon in front of his business in a plaza that he owned. So that question was, what's your advice or words of wisdom for those who are experiencing grief? And shout out to the folks who have, joined that conversation over on social media. Let's see, we have a couple of different, we got a little thread going over here. Over on Facebook, Dorisha said, I have several points. 1, people don't know what to say. 2, take your time to grieve. 3, seek professional help. 4, search for a grief support group. 5, speak your truth and don't hold anything in about the person who passed. And 6, don't beat yourself up about his or her death. And then Ariel, shout out to her. She shared a whole Twitter thread about grief and gave like a whole bunch of that. So that's a lot in her paragraph. But she gave this idea. She said, I also think it helps to think of grief not as a wound, but as scar tissue. A wound heals over. Scar tissue is the thing that comes up and closes around the wound. It's painful at first and it can be jagged and ugly. It helps to seal the wound, but it also serves as a reminder of that trauma. And even once it's healed over, there can be days where it's more visible and more uncomfortable than others, but it's there ultimately to help you keep moving. So shout out to Ariel for that perspective on grief. If you would like to join the conversation and answer that, our question of the day, which is, what are your words of advice, or your words of wisdom for those who are experiencing grief? Feel free to call in 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Again, that's 866-361-0900. Shout out to the folks who are tuning in via our Facebook Live. Amina said, hi, Joe and Sarita. How are you? One question. I want to start a catering business. What legal papers do I need to sell food, licenses, etc.? So,
Gotcha.
Joe, can you give any perspective on that?
Yeah, so you definitely need your ServSafe for you and anyone on your staff to be able to handle food. You need a commercial activity license, and you need to file your tax documents with the city of Philadelphia. So those 3 things allow you to handle food, allow you to distribute food, and whenever you work with a client, if they give you a paycheck, or maybe they gave you a 1099 or something, you can fill it out appropriately for your catering business. So it's not directly tied to your personal finances, but your business finances.
Gotcha. Yeah, don't play about that. Protect your personal finances, y'all, and do good business. That too.
Absolutely.
That too. But prior to break, we were talking about, or I mentioned, just my admiration for your evolution, personal and business. And even, I think this just speaks to that fact when you came in today. You shared that you took this trip to France.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what the motivation was behind going to France, the time that you spent there, and what the goal was.
So, you know, manifestation in words is really powerful. You know, maybe like the second year into my business, I was just adamant, like, I want to go to France. I want to go to France. The first time I travel abroad, I want to go to France. And so I just put my head down and was grinding for the next, 3 years and some change, and wasn't able to do so. And it wasn't really that I was unable to, it was that I didn't take the time to. And so I was just like, you know what? I have some space and opportunity for me to be able to go. Let me just book it and, take this trip. And I wanted to go. The primary motivation outside of that was I want to introduce, new products and new flavors for my company. And the one weak area that I always had was puff pastry, which will give you, like croissants and, different things of that nature. And I didn't want to buy puff pastry sheets. I wanted to make it in-house, right?
Everything in-house.
Everything in-house. So, my brioche dough is pretty good, for like sticky buns and things like that. But puff pastry I always kind of struggle with. And so what better place to go to than, France, go to Paris to be able to take a class and learn these things from a professional that was either, trained with a culinary school to do it, or has worked in, a patisserie for a number of years. And so I went there and, I took that class. It was like a 4-hour class. And so we went from everything from top to bottom. So, making the dough and layering it and baking it and just learning tips and tricks on how to prepare it. Really invaluable lessons, and, stumbled upon a chocolate class while I was over there. And that was really cool. So they have like a chocolate museum. And so, walking in, you just see a bunch of different chocolates: dark chocolate, white chocolate, semi-sweet milk chocolate, all different types of percentages and, flavor combinations that they have. And they were offering a chocolate class. It was like €25. I'm like, I'm here. I might as well take it. So, made a bunch of different little chocolate treats. But that's something else that I can incorporate, into my business, because garnish for me, while I have it very simply understated, it's still an important piece of, finishing a dessert or a pastry that you make. Yeah. So, just more tools, tricks to the trade, and, I couldn't be more appreciative of the time, the instructor that I had. It was just him and I in a class, so it was like really personal and in-depth. Yeah. I had my notebook with me, taking notes, and asked an abundance of questions. And so, and like I said, entrepreneurship for me humbled me in a very particular way. I didn't go in like, well, I know these things and, this is how we do it. I'm just like, show me. I went in like I never had any type of skill or knowledge in the kitchen. I wanted to just really soak everything up. And it was a great experience.
So retaining that mindset of a student. You're here to learn.
You have to. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. Yeah. So, you have to be willing to learn and grow.
That's true. And speaking of learning, you're also now learning French.
Yeah, I'm dabbling. I'm trying to immerse myself in French, just because, I definitely plan to go back. But for me to go to some of the more remote areas, I want to be able to communicate in their language. I don't want to go and have to keep asking people, do you speak English? I want to be able to be there comfortably and fully immerse myself in the culture, which, in turn is just going to enhance my culinary skills as well, because in you know, Bordeaux is different from Paris. They have their own special types of desserts that they have there that have nothing to do with Paris or Nice, you know, which is more Mediterranean. So there are a bunch of different places that I can go and pick up tips and tricks or just learn something completely new, but I want to be able to really digest it in a particular way.
Yeah. So what are some steps that you're taking to learn French? Tools that you're using, accountability partners, what's all going into
Yeah,
that?
So I'm using the app Babbel, which you can get, you know, like on your phone or tablet, which is really good. It teaches you the fundamentals, really allows you to immerse yourself in it and understand the language fully. Then there's also a French bakery that opened up pretty close to me. It's about 10 minutes away from me. So I've been going. I actually went there before I went to France. Like I just saw it in passing and went in, and you know, people actually they speak French in there, and they got a bunch of great French desserts and croissants and.
Oh, I want to check them out.
Yeah, I'll give you the information. You can go there for coffee or something.
Yeah.
And then you know, friends that went to Temple that you know are from Paris, but you know speak French fluently. It's something that it allows me to immerse myself in it while I'm here. And they can hold me accountable.
Yeah, because you said you mentioned to a friend, like, speak to me in French, text me in French.
So I told my friend, you know, just communicate with me only in French. And then she sent me this text, and I was just like, nope, I don't understand part of it. I caught the first half, but then I was just like, nah. I mean, but, you know, you can use, like, Google Translate and everything to figure it out. But just being familiar with it, and then something that you can do is if you're watching like Netflix, you can change the language.
The language settings.
Yeah, so
which I've never thought to do. Now I might give that a try.
Yeah,
just to see the subtitles and try to pick up on it.
Yeah, you can watch movies in in French. It doesn't do it for all the titles, so you have to like you can Google like what can you watch in French on Netflix, but you can definitely look at it that way. So like that, or listening to podcasts, like listening to the news in French is really helpful. They talk so fast.
Yeah, you gotta catch it.
you gotta catch it, but you know, training your ear to be able to get it is part of the trick, because nobody's gonna talk slow to you when you travel.
Right.
You know, they're gonna talk how they talk, just like we do. So
yep.
You know.
So I know some folks may, you know, if they want to try something new, this cafe. What's the name of the cafe? Because I don't want to just keep that information for myself.
Offhand, I don't know. I would have to look it up. Yeah,
all right, we'll figure that out. Amina, who is tuning in via live, she had the question. She said, "Thank you for that information."
Okay.
So that's dope that we were able to get that for her. If you have any questions for Joe, or you just kind of want to comment on the conversation that we're having, feel free to call in. The hotline is 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. Again, that's 866-361-0900. What did I want? Oh, anything in the news right now or in the world of baking that you think we should have on our radar? Or entrepreneurship, business?
Well, entrepreneurship, something that was really big for me. So I've been teaching an entrepreneurship class at Mount Airy at Trades for a Difference, which is at 6812 Chew Avenue. I'm one of the founding members of the nonprofit. So it's a nonprofit organization. We do job skills training, entrepreneurial learning. So been teaching there Thursdays, and I've been telling people to look at Google News for like business news and see what's going on. And so recently, you see that the whole cashless ban thing, the legislation that they passed behind that, and really just seeing how that affects current businesses that may have operated, not accepting cash, or companies moving forward, how they're going to proceed with their POS systems that they're going to use. Because, there are fees for swiping, swiping cards. And, if people don't know that, that's something that they need to know, because at that point you have to decide, is it going to be absorbed, into the business, or do you increase prices to cover it? And so that's something that if you're already an established business and maybe your product is at a certain price point, that fluctuation might not go over well with some customers.
Yeah.
And so it may affect you. So just looking at the overall business environment, I'm looking really close. Like there's some traction about like New York banning plastic bags. I don't use plastic bags, but I know a lot of businesses do, and it may be a cost-effective option. So if you can't use plastic bags, then are paper bags cost-effective for you as well, or is that something that may increase your cost to the point where it doesn't work for you? Like some people may be teetering that line where going to plastic bags save them from whatever outcome they may be facing.
Right.
So it's just a bunch of things that look small but may have really big impacts.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm all for the environment, and I also love plastic bags. So I've seen this in many black households. We save our plastic bags.
For sure.
Those things get recycled, okay? Like either under the sink or in a drawer. You got your special drawer. So I'm thinking about my household, and yes, I have reusable bags, but I also reuse my plastic bags. Like sometimes that might be my lunch bag for the day, or you know, whatever. But yeah, I remember seeing a joke on Instagram, or maybe it was Twitter. Somebody was like, "Nah, black people, we reuse our bags." I don't know what the rest of y'all out here doing, but yeah, no. Thanks for putting those two things on a radar. If you're just tuning in, I'm chatting with Joe Green. He is the man behind Affinity Confections, and we have to go ahead and take a break. But when we come back on the other side, Joe, I want to make sure we give them the information for your nonprofit, and learn a little bit more about that and who you're here to serve. You and your team are here to serve with that, and then just getting into some stuff with the Affinity Infections and like letting them know where they can find that stuff at, find the products at, and this spring collection. Give them a nice little deep dive into that, and then also some advice that you would give to your 18-year-old self regarding like manhood.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take this break. You're tuned into the Lounge on WURD Radio. I'm your host, Sincerely Sarita, and we'll be right back.
EcoWord. Wednesdays on Reality Check with Charles Ellison.
4 p.m. till 7 p.m.
Right here on Word Radio.
And WordRadio.com.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make Frankson sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I was sensitive to lights and sounds, so I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I did the same things over and over, until one day I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The Lounge with Sincerely Sarita. Sincerely Sarita. Right now on Word Radio.
Double up, 3 or 4 times, I ain't telling no lies, I just run it up. Never let a hard time humble us. Double up, I ain't telling no lies, I just, I ain't telling no lies, I just
5, 4, 3, 2, that's time. I got to you that money, my dreams come true, my life in diamonds. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew?
11 to a 14. 14 to a whole thing. Lord knows it's a cold game. Switched up on you, man. Big body take both lanes. Backseat blowing propane. All black, 5 gold chains. Young rich bossed up on his own, man. My new issue sound like a soul train. Tookie Williams over Coltrane. Eric B by the rope chain. RC, we for show bang. Tiny Lokes and they go crazy. What you know about the dope game? Was you born in the 80s? Did your mama smoke cocaine? Have you ever seen the whole thing? Was you drove to the streets cause you grew up on show change? Up when the dope age. It remind me when these rappers drop duds and they quotes change. Had to part with the low fade. I was standing in front of Knicks with my sack for the whole day. Drive-bys, that was road rage. And we park and hop out, learn levels to this whole thing. Old school play the OJs, trying to make a slow change. Mama still slaving for a low wage. Trying to double up, yeah. 3 or 4 times, I ain't telling no lies, I just run it up. Never let a hard time humble us. Double up. I ain't telling no lies, I just, yeah. I ain't telling no lies, I just,
5, 4, 3, 2, that's time. I got to you that money. My dreams come true. My life in diamonds. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? Who knew?
Behind if you let me. Ironic, I drown just to hold you down. I jump off the ledge if you with me. I bring you up, you just let me down. Let me down.
Get my all money in chain too.
Let me down.
This is Kyle Ingram from Peyote Vision. Shout out to Jay Brown and DJ Ideal Boyfriend, and you are listening to The Lounge on WURD.
I'ma shine. Might have been way before it's time. Posted with my back against the wall. Life is a but she mine. The rag 6 do, yeah, it's mine. The west side too, yeah, it's mine. What you know about? Your poster on the wall at the dealership. Leave her in the bed, legs trembling. Getting banged on for your penalties. What you know about? Your response be the reason you exist. Lucky I ain't get caught up in the twist. Young but getting blue pager on my hip, so as the champagne spill and the car accelerate and the beat gon' cry. I'll be going to the bank at least 3-4 times. Get handshakes from the branch managers. We keep doing fly when the cameras cut.
That's Double Up. Nipsey Hussle featuring Dom Kennedy and Belly. May Nipsey rest in power. Shout out to all of those who, you know, are fans of his music. If not the music, then, you know, just the impact that he had in his community, and music, the music industry, the hip-hop industry. You know, we wanted to make sure we showed love and dedication to his legacy. So we're rocking out and playing some Nipsey music, putting you on to something new. Check them out. You are tuned into The Lounge on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. I'm joined in studio with my man Crush Monday, Joe Green. He's the founder of Affinity. Look at me getting tongue-tied. Affinity Confections. There we go. Shut up, Frosty. But yeah, so kind of back into, oh, you know what? Before we get to our conversation, we have a caller on the line. Let's go to Ann from Logan on line 1. Hey, Ann.
Hey, Sarita.
How you doing?
You know what? Good, pretty good. Thank you for having Joe on, because I happen to like the arts myself, whether it's food, fashion, and everything in between. Now, I know you had another person on also that did like pastries, and she was called something Crumb or something.
Oh yeah, the Fancy Crumb, Brianna Green. So she does cakes.
Yeah, because and it's funny because you had Joe on and you had her on, and I ran into another woman who does like all kind of cakes and pastries also. Because matter of fact, she gave me her business card. But I did want to ask you, Joe, I want to ask you this. When you were talking about how you went to France, I was reading an article about this fashion designer who is American, but he moved to Paris in 2003. So he said that there is like a creativity that is there that is, it's above the creativity in America. So I wanted to ask you, and I read an article with Lenny Kravitz because he lives in Paris part-time also, and he was saying that he just loves the culture and the cafes and how he likes to go to the museums and stuff. But I wanted to ask you, do you believe, even in doing pastries, is there a creativity over there that is above the States? And so I'm going to hang up and listen. So I just wanted to hear your view on that.
Thank you for your question.
I wish you much continued success.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
So to answer your question, while I was over there, it was definitely, I love the culture. People were so fashionable. Like it kind of blew my mind how fashionable the older people were. I was more impressed with, the older people than I was the younger people. Just really tailored fits, pieces that, looked like they had them for a number of years that they just incorporate to their everyday outfits. But I think that the biggest difference between France and America is that, for so long, America was always bigger is better. And I feel like a lot of the things that we incorporate into our desserts and pastries, France does not. So for instance, you might see a lot of cupcakes or desserts. They may be Reese's this or Oreo that. So it's using another brand or product to create another brand or product. In France, it's more about technique and composition, which is why I was drawn to it. So they focus on those flavors and the quality of what they're putting together to create something new. And then, they have a bunch of varieties of desserts. They have, tarts, eclairs, and, different types of cookies, palmiers, with puff pastry. So I think the creativity there is really, I wouldn't say better, I would just say like more eclectic. Like they have a lot of things that they reference to create their desserts and pastries, where here, like I said, they use more of the products that are just an abundance of here.
All right, got you. So prior to break, you had mentioned the nonprofit that you co-founded. Yep. I want to make sure we get that information to folks who may be interested in attending the entrepreneurship class that you teach. So yeah, let us know again the name of the nonprofit and a little bit of info about it.
Yeah, so the nonprofit is called Trades for a Difference. It's a job skills training entrepreneurial learning program. The Learning Center is at 6812 Chew Avenue. For anybody that wants to come by and stop by, it's a really great organization, started by Jordan Parisi Farini, great friend of mine, great family friend, known each other for 10 plus years. And it really stems back to entrepreneurship. And, once you hit a certain peak of success, well, at least speaking for myself and Jordan, he really wanted to give back. A lot of times it's not just the money that you're going after, but you have the capacity to open doors for a lot of people. And one thing, that he noticed was within the construction industry is that really lacks the diversity with minority inclusion. And that's just not people of color, but women as well. And so Trades for a Difference was founded to give young men and women, minorities where they had particular adversities and opportunities, a chance to grow and flourish. So we really focus on the trades itself and focusing on entrepreneurship. So for those who are familiar with Mount Airy or from Mount Airy, the location of our learning center, 6812 Chew Avenue, used to be a old bars, troublesome, bar in the neighborhood. They were about to convert it into a stop-and-go deli, and we were able to come in, acquire the property and the adjacent property, which was abandoned for 15 years. People were squatting in it, and we were able to completely renovate both properties. The one was a 3-story home that was sold, and then the old bar is now the learning center. And so it was a complete rehaul from top to bottom, and that space is available for rent, but for educational purposes only. We didn't want to create another space, in Mount Airy that was just used for everything, parties, baby showers, etc. Like, we wanted to have a focus on building community wealth from within, and that comes from education. And so everything that we do there has educational roots or an educational benefit. And so we've been doing an entrepreneurship class with the Welcoming Center on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Trades for a Difference has our own cohorts that we typically do. You can go to tradesforadifference.org and look at Become a Student, and you'll receive information on when the next classes are. And in those classes, you get hands-on construction training. You can get OSHA certified, so if you wanted to go into like unions, things of that nature, pathways to higher education, and we also do projects with purpose. So projects with purpose, it may be something as simple or complex as weatherizing someone's home for the winter if they can't afford it, or neighborhood cleanups. Just we have the capacity to build things and change circumstances, and so we want to make that presence felt throughout the city.
Well, I mean, first of all, I love this, and I'll make sure for those who are tuned into the live, I'll drop the link, or Facebook Live, I'll drop the link in there so you can access the organization's website. I got to get ready to let you go because we're running beyond time at this point, but Affinity Confections, let us know what's going on, any new news. I know you dropped the spring 2019 collection, so I'm all for shameless plugs and all of that good stuff. So yeah, let them know about what you have going on with Affinity Confections and anything that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, so Affinity Confections, for you guys that want to check it out, it's affinityconfections.com. Social media, it's at Affinity Confections. We just released a spring 2019 collection. We're probably going to do a class at Audrey Claire's Cook with a specifically curated menu sometime in the spring or summer, so just be on the lookout for that. We're also working on some new product lines that we're going to drop. Don't want to release the details too early on it, but yeah, not yet, but definitely some really good, exciting things that have been in the works since last summer. Okay. So just creating, building, desserts and pastries, and moving forward. Yeah. It's offering good things.
So that's Affinity, AFFINITY, Confections, CONFECTIONS.com. And let us know where to follow you at. Let's leave on this note. Advice, because it is Man Crush Monday. Advice in 30 seconds or less that you would give your 18-year-old self.
So for my 18-year-old self, I would definitely force myself to read the 4 agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz, be impeccable with your word, always do your best, never take anything personal, and don't assume. Those 4 things would have gotten me through a lot of issues, that I've dealt with, and things that I've had to overcome, and things that I apply in my daily life now. So, and I would be receptive to it. Back then I was very open to information. So
all right, well, there we have it. That's Joe Green. He is the founder, CEO, the man behind Affinity Confections, and my Man Crush Monday, like my guest. So shout out to Joe.